Hello, I'm Evelyn Wallace, signing in for Story Hour. I do not have Maestro with me today, as you see, because everybody needs a break from each other sometimes, even an imaginary friend. So, today I would like to speak from some notes I had previously taken. I'm really learning a lot here about how to better myself. I also think off the cuff, intellectual debate, even if it is debate with self, I think that can manifest some pretty rewarding and fruitful topics and discoveries. And yet, here I am, staying on topic. I'd like to talk more about the idea of crazy because I'm getting more comfortable with the accusation being launched at me, either underhandedly or overtly. And my first response was, that's fine, you are entitled to think whatever you want. I'm entitled to think that you're wrong. If you think I'm crazy, you're allowed to do that. If I think I'm not crazy, I'm allowed to do that too. But that's a good first step, I think. But there's more to it than that, because when we examine what we mean when we say that person's crazy, we hopefully see that that person breaks out of our sense of normality in some way. So people who walk through the streets talking to themselves, sort of standard, right? Standard crazy. Or, you know, talking about your crazy ex-girlfriend. Like people who behave irrationally, like out of emotions. That can be crazy too. I think when people see me, I don't know, I guess no one's really talked that deeply with me about what they think when they think I'm crazy. Because when I do engage with the friends and loved ones who sort of call me with love in their hearts, saying, Evie, is everything okay? I'm worried about you. And I say, okay, all right. I can see, or I can feel, you know, the love in your heart. So tell me more about your worry, about your concern. And what always ends up feeling true is there's like a level of concern of like, has she gone bonkers? Has she gone nuts? Has she gone off the deep end? And I guess, again, I challenge you listening at home, even if you don't think of me as crazy, I challenge you to think of what you do think of as crazy, or like some other label that you give not offhandedly, but some other label you give to a thing so that you can dismiss its content, right? And I think that's a good protective instinct. We should know how to cut out the things we don't need to listen to. I mean, the guy muttering to himself, you know, in New York City, who also smells of urine, that's enough signals for me to know that the likelihood that he has that I should open myself emotionally to him is low. I mean, opening yourself emotionally, it's probably, you know, anyone in a city, but it's safer, whatever. Sidetrack. So I see that I even use the term crazy to talk about a category of people who don't deserve to be heard. or aren't worth being heard. And it's a good opportunity for me to reflect on how I can change, or at least be aware of you know, I'm not going to change in that I'm going to like sit down with every homeless guy who smells of urine and ask her his like deepest thoughts, but to at least be aware, to remember, to consciously remember that human life that is muttering to itself and smells of urine is equally loved by God. Because we all glow with God light. So is like equally loved by the whole network of us glowing with the same God light. I would say it in like a gentler way, but I don't know, that feels like the most accurate way I know how to speak. And I don't want to spend paragraphs like beating around the bush. So, alors, so after I handled, sorry that took a while to find, after I handled the original dynamic of making myself publicly available for ridicule. That's another thing about these videos, like, oh my God, you're just talking about yourself. Like, yeah, well, it brings me joy. You don't have to watch if you don't want to. And like, if I was behaving out of ego, I probably would put on more makeup. You know, I probably would. Oh, I did do a thing. I did do a thing this time. This is my girl's house. I realized I should probably respect her privacy. It's one of my goddess's places. House of healing. Okay, sidetrack. Once I got over the original mechanics of crazy as a term being launched at me in a way that I had to practice deflecting or rejecting without cutting myself off to offering the same love to the people who had thrown that stone. But it's like a one-way exit, you know, like don't back up, severe tire, severe soul damage. Like, you hurtful person, I'm not gonna let you in because you've shown me that I can't trust you to be kind. But I still send you love because I always want to behave in the way that I hope everyone else does. Always. That's how I try. That's, whew, man, every day. You know, you can never really achieve that, I guess, because it's a choice with every breath. So now I feel aware of this undertone of whispers that then sort of shift into a, oh yeah, that's just Evie. That's just, she high? Is that girl high? What? No. She's high on life. She drunk? What? No. Maybe on soda water, maybe on club soda. You know, people who know me know. So then I started to think more deeply, like, well, what is crazy to me? What do I see as like, what, like that doesn't make sense, right? Like, so crazy behavior in my definition of it is, like when, you know, like basically either your words and actions don't line up, or your thoughts and words don't, you know, something's off. Like when things are out of balance, maybe. No, that's a little too vague and wishy-washy. Crazy. I think it's crazy to pretend every day like there's something more important than being aware of your own God light. And then aware of everyone else's God light. That message is so, I mean, all the beautiful human variations of expression and art and creativity and wit and science and technology, and like the human brain is amazing. I'm not saying we all need to only think this one thing all the time. Like, never. I would never. I would never. But in my experience, having been taught by my dying friend that he was perfect He was just a perfect light underneath his skin and his bones and every other physical manifestation of him, under that, in that, within that. And as soon as I knew that, I knew, I heard Maestro's voice, but I didn't know it was his yet. I said, hey baby girl, don't ever forget this. Don't ever think that anything is more important than this. If you have seen this, if you've seen this with your own soul, if you've seen this light and this we is reality, and then you go back to the world where you pretend to forget that, this is still Maestro's voice, then shame on you, baby girl. Then that's on you. And I almost did fall back asleep. But it feels to me less crazy to be this true to the thing that feels most deeply important in my deepest of hearts. Not obeying that call, that pull, would feel crazy. Oh, I gotta untuck my feet. That would feel crazy. And then, you know, a girlfriend of mine and I were dancing around. She taught me, she's amazing. Man, one of the goddesses. She's stunning. She taught me a lot about body work and dancing, just like general things about dancing that I just didn't know. So she said, man, Evelyn, your body is getting so strong. And like, you don't go to the gym. You know, I mean, it was like she wasn't saying it because like she was surprised. It was like we were seeing each other. She's like, girl, this is how we do. We're moving, we're listening to parts of our body. Like when my back starts to bark at me, I listen to it. I find where the pain voice is coming from and I address it. I say, thank you for letting me know that you're there, and I find it, and I sometimes release audible sounds of pleasure. Which you may or may not have noticed in my last video. I'd never seen myself do that move. If you haven't watched that video, it's so dope. It's like such a I think. Watch if you want, don't if you don't. It's such a dope video of a human body just being sort of strong and inverted and tumbly, but slowly, powerfully. I was just as in awe as I would have been if I had seen someone else, someone else's body do that. I think. So my goddess and I are talking about like we find ways to keep our bodies strong because we're listening to our bodies all the time. We're moving and dancing. Plus I walk around with a giant sugar skull. Like that'll make a lady stronger. What a funny bodyguard, right? He needs to be carried. That's okay. That's okay. It's like, you know, Princess Bride. You didn't. You can do a lot with no legs. Oh man. So then I thought, well, I think going to a gym is crazy because it doesn't work for me. I don't launch that accusation on people who do go to the gym. I mean, if that brings you joy to go to the gym and do those things with your body, then blessed be. Then good on you for finding your joy. But in my reality, that would bring me so much not joy that I just could. I mean, maybe for like an indoor pool, that might be dope. That might be worth it. Or the class, you know, I could go to yoga. I could do classes. That I can see. But like the machines, just being inside doing things that make you sweat is not how I prefer to sweat. And then I started thinking about when people ask me, what do you do? So, what do you do? And I think, well, I do a lot of things. Can you be more specific? Because I want them to have to say out loud, what do you do for money? I want them to be aware that that is the question they're asking. What do you do to earn money? And that's fine. That's fine because culturally we've accepted that as culturally we've accepted horror movies as more appropriate than sex movies. Like those are just the rules we live by. I understand that I don't agree, but I understand. What do you do? Oh, I do a lot of things. What do you mean? What do you do for money? And then I'm happy to talk about that or sort of explain it so that people aren't, I guess, so uncomfortable with like how I exist. But I also want to reciprocate, right? Like, well, what do you do? You know, there's a job title, right? Like I'm a something or I own this place. And good on you, friends and loved ones who vibe high at work and feel like you are a consistent human. I mean, of course, doing things like because it's work. And you wish you didn't have to, but do anyway. But really, for the most part, with like love in your heart, good on you. You know who you are, and I do that too. I do that for work too. I behave as consistently as possible with all breaths. So really, maybe I'm just never off the clock, but but the job is to breathe joy, and so it looks like I'm on vacation all the time, which is fine. That's how it should look. That's how you know I'm doing something right. That's how I know I'm doing something right. But I thought, you know what else is crazy? Back to the conversation about what do you do and jobs and, you know, I'm a something at a company. And I think, okay, I guess I understand that, but like, what do you do? What do you I assume you spend 8 hours a day in this place. Like, is most of your time spent at a desk? Do you travel a lot? Like, walk me through what you do. And it's not, I like to learn about how other people spend their time, their most valuable resource. And I am grateful that we are all called to perform different jobs on this earth. I'm like, what I say about work and my work is not to disparage like people who have 40-hour-a-week jobs. Believe you me, sometimes I think about it. I think about the comfort it would afford. And then I remember, Marshall, I promised I wouldn't forget. So the comfort of financial security is not more important than the living and breathing of this message. That's what I knew in my heart to be true. And that's what I am working toward being. And am. In this breath, I feel. So the last thing about sort of crazy and jobs and all of that is that I also think it's crazy to spend 8 hours a day doing something you hate. I think that's crazy. Come on, buddy. Gotcha. Thanks, sorry. iPhone, you know, high-tech lighting system. I think we are all beautiful, vibrant, potentially vibrant links in a chain link blanket or something, like a golden chain link blanket that covers the planet or whatever. That's just who we all are, this network. And that when we listen to our soul's voice, when we let our soul's voice guide us, like the link that we are becomes stronger and glowier and healthier. And when you work at a job you hate, you're not bringing your best game to the network of humanity that you are, whether you acknowledge that you are or not. Think of what 7 billion people could do together if we stopped. I mean, if we just chose, I get it, I get that it's fiction, but that's okay. It's okay to have a fictional thought. Just, I love the thought. I love the thought of just one day we all, some weird gas leaks out of the middle of the earth, right? And we all wake up and forget that we're not all a family, you know? And yeah, like different people eat different foods, and that's fine. Like different music, different languages, different skin colors, different body types, different value systems. And yet, the gas that we all somehow breathed overnight on Earth in my fictional world, we see that other human and think, okay, you're part of my tribe. We don't hurt each other. We look out for each other. If you're hungry, we feed each other, shelter each other. And then, right, then everybody's fed and sheltered, and then, like, we could just play. I mean, okay, of course there's gonna be problems, because that's right, that's like part of the tumbling, expansive, contracted nature of life, man. Wow, I guess I have a good stoner voice. Oh, man. Well, I think that's all for now. I really appreciate all of those of you. Please rebalance. Thanks. I'm really sorry about the blowout white thing. Thanks for those of you who have joined me on this journey. And I welcome feedback. I welcome support. I do not accept, in my heart, hurtful feedback. But constructive feedback. My friend in LA says, like, when he has new ideas, he bounces it off a friend of his who's not in his industry at all, and he's like, okay, break my box. He like throws out this idea, and the guy just is looking in from the outside saying, like, well, here's a problem, I see that, this is gonna leak. Break my box. It's cool, you know, always collecting data, always improving. But man, we could really do some cool stuff together. Okay, my friends, thanks again. Signing off for real now. Have a great length of time until I see you next.